And we're going to start with the Atlanta Hawks, man, because as we all know, they let go of their head coach, Lloyd Pierce. He was fired after a 14-20 start. It was after 3 seasons of pretty much nothing. I don't even think they even won 30 games, man. So let me get your instant reactions to this firing. I'm going to start with my man Scruff.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I got some familiarity with Lloyd Pierce because he came up under Brett Brown under the Sixers coaching staff. One of the best defensive-minded coaches in the league, mind you. He had a very terrible team for most of his tenure in Atlanta. I think their team's solid now, but I wouldn't say he's to blame for their struggles. It's a pretty pitiful team in the first place. And, they were off to a good start. And as soon as they started dipping in the market, they just going to go just sell on my man. So I don't appreciate that. And, I see it as another situation where they're scapegoating a good coach, man, trying to get him out while the stock is low, while they can. All right, bet. Let's get him out of here. Lloyd Pierce. We on to the next one. And apparently Trae Young said he wanted him out. So, that's pretty much the number one call. When a superstar in a pitiful team calls for your name out, that's the end for you, bro. So, unfortunately, that's it for Lloyd Pierce. Hope he ends up in another situation. I doubt he gets another head coaching job, though. Just being real.
T, man, you think that's it for Lloyd Pierce? Can you see him getting another head coaching job, or is this his last tenure?
It's going to be tough. He won't get one right away. Might have to go to college and come back. Might have to take an assistant job and wait it out, be an interim guy for a second. It's going to be tough, man. It's unfortunate. You hate to see a black coach lose his job. You hate to see anybody lose their job. He lost his job. From what I understand, he just had a baby. Like, the child might be 1 week, 2 weeks old at this point. So that's tough to, have a kid come to this world with no job. So my heart just kind of go out to the guy. But the Hawks weren't winning. And sometimes the franchise has to do what's best for a franchise. I don't know if this is what's best for the franchise, but like Scruff said, man, if your superstar's complaining, you're losing games, you got a chance to bring in somebody else or just make a change. Why not? Why not? So while I don't really agree with the timing of the move, it had to be done. There's no secret that Atlanta has a good team, a good young team at least, a building block team where a few tweaks here and there and they can make a playoff run like we've seen the Knicks currently do right now with a coaching change. So, I don't know, man. Shout out to Lloyd and hopefully get back on his feet real quick.
Damn, T said it's tough to bring a child in the world with no job, man. Well, hopefully he was listening to the stock advice in the beginning of the show. Bryce, man, what are your thoughts on the Hawks letting my man go?
Yeah, definitely unfortunate. You don't want to see a good man lose his job ever. Tough that he has a kid, just dropped out, and then now he has no job. But I don't know, man. I take a slightly different stance because I don't think he had a lot to work with in Atlanta. I hear you guys saying Atlanta has a good team. All they need is I don't see that. I don't see a good team in Atlanta. I see Trae Young, who's a scorer. Who's supposed to score after him? John Collins. He's a big man. Clint Capella, he's your rim protector. Those are your next two best players. They brought in Bogdanovich, if I'm correct, right over the offseason. Yep. He's been hurt the whole time. My guy Scruff predicting him having an all-star season this year. So that would have helped a lot. They would have had an all-star Bogdanovich on the team, right? He would have never been an all-star, and he wouldn't have helped them that much either. But Lloyd Pierce didn't have a ton to work with, man. They didn't want to make a big-time move. They had John Collins, disgruntled Collins. They've been talking about moving Collins for, over a year now. Still haven't moved him. That's the type of player you could flip for a second star to go with Trae Young. You could flip him for a veteran. Now you got two guys that can get you buckets every night. But they didn't do that. They decided to stand pat and wait for these guys to develop. All right, if you're going to wait for young guys to develop, you got to wait 5-6 seasons. Like, third-year Trae Young is not about to lead you to the playoffs by himself. You give him some pieces around him, that can change. But I don't think they ever gave Lloyd enough to work with. So we'll never see what Lloyd truly could be as a coach. I think T hit the nail on the head. This guy's going to have to go back through the ranks now. It's going to be tough. But if he has a defensive mind that he was billed to be when he left Philly, I'm sure he'll land on his feet. There's a lot of teams out here that need defensive help. My Wizards being one of them, for sure.
Bryce, I hear you saying that he didn't have too much to work with, man. But 3 years and their best season, they had 29 wins. So, you got to have some type of results. We're not saying you got to make the playoffs, but can you give me 30? Can you get to 30 at least one season? Is that too much to ask?
But I guess it's just like, okay, his first year, Trae Young is a rookie, right? So, I mean, you're not going nowhere with rookie anybody. And Trae Young was all they had when he was a rookie. His second season, Trae Young made the All-Star game. Sounds like they were starting to build, right? Sounds like they were starting to build. His third season, they didn't make that splash move to get over the top. If you're not going to make that move to get over the top, don't be mad when I'm doing the same thing with the same guys. I'm doing the same thing with the same roster. You didn't give me no more. I mean, don't get me wrong. Clint Capella, that was a good ad. That's defensive presence, but they need offensive firepower. Teams are keying in on Trae Young. He's still going for 30, but it's a tough 30. It's filled with tough buckets, filled with 40-footers, right? So I just think they should have gave Lloyd a little more to work with, man.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. I think that the Atlanta front office actually thinks that they did a sufficient job this season in providing with a team. That's why they were like, all right, to pull a plug on them. But I disagree. I'm with you, B. Like, I don't think that they gave him legitimate help. You know, Bogdanovich was a nice pickup. You know, that's cute. You know, DeAndre Hunter is getting better. You know, a lot of dudes is on this squad. They got a nice little team, but, you know, they just not really there yet. They don't got the guns to fight. You know, I don't feel like they gave him a fair chance. You know, it's like kind of like when Brett Brown was with the Sixers. You know, they needed to fill him out. You know, when you got a team that bad, you got to cut a dude a little rope, man. Just give him a little rope. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, they use that rope to send them out.
So do we think that? Oh, go ahead, T. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
No, I want to hear what you say because I was going to shift the conversation a little bit.
Oh, I was just gonna say, man, at the end of the day, man, the name of the game is you gotta win. Like, I don't care what pieces you have, what pieces they give you. Ownership, fans are always gonna believe somebody else could have got it done with those same pieces for the most part. Especially when you have an all-star like Trae Young with the team. And we don't know how much he was involved with drafting or the makeup of the current roster. For all I know, he could have been telling the GM, like, man, give me this guy and this guy, DeAndre Hunter, draft him, and we can go all the way. And it didn't happen for whatever reason. So, you know, you're not winning. You're not going to be long for any coaching job at any levels. You know.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Though. He's a dog, though. DeAndre Hunter's a dog. I just want to say that.
But the last thing I wanted to throw to y'all about the Hawks before we move on is his second season was last season. So do we think that the pandemic, the bubble, all that happening, do we think that affected his chances in a negative way? Or
I wouldn't say that, but I do think coaching is just like playing. You know, the same way I was saying you got to give guys 4 or 5 seasons to get nice. Don't y'all think coaches got to get it right? You know what I mean? Like, this guy's a third-year coach. It's not like he came from being a head coach and was put in this position, right? He's never been a head coach. It takes time not just to learn your guys, but also to learn your style of coaching. You know what I mean? Whenever you're talking about a defensive coach, I always have been under the impression that it takes a defensive coach longer to kind of instill what they're doing, because you really got to get guys to buy in on defense. It's not just drawing up plays, letting guys run sets. You know what I mean? It's not about how creative on drawing up plays you can be. No, it's about how can you get these guys to buy in all the way in. Now, Lloyd was unable to do that, but I think he did show some signs throughout his short tenure of building something. Like I said, Trae Young, second season, All-Star. Clint Capella, he's been balling this year, bro. Clint Capella been balling this season. That's their defensive guy, you know. So I don't know, man. I guess, you know, Lloyd's gonna take all the blame, and, you know, as that's the nature of coaching. But I do think they didn't give him everything they could have.